As I mentioned, I'll develop 4 points. I gave you introduction. I talked about before Patanjali. I talked about the limbs, 8 limbs of Patanjali's yoga, and now my conclusion, and then your question and answer. So in conclusion remark, let me say, what is the problem? The problem is of suffering. The human beings suffer. And you and I can testify we have anxiety, tension, frustration, physical. Patanjali, it says there are 3 kinds of suffering. 3 kinds of suffering: celestial, terrestrial, and inner organic. Celestial suffering means suffering caused by God. God punish you so you can do puja, do worship, and maybe God will eliminate your suffering. Terrestrial suffering, terrestrial from the word terrace, meaning suffering that comes from the nature, like earthquake, fire, they're occurring all the time. Those are terrestrial suffering. So you can have fire extinguisher, you can move away from the fall. Don't build your houses there, make some, do some practical things to deal with those kind of suffering. Patanjali is concerned with inner organic suffering. Inner organic suffering is psychological suffering. So in conclusion, let me say yoga talks about various psycho-mental states. Yoga is the first system that talks about subconscious mind. Patanjali talked about subconscious mind, how our actions, whatever we do, and the karmic action creates certain psycho-mental states that get stuck into our subconscious mind. Freud talked about subconscious, but he emphasized more on sexual problem, the problem of libido. The suppressed libido causes a lot of problem. That happened during the 18th century, in modern times in Europe. But Patanjali in ancient time, in 2nd and 4th century, emphasized that suffering is stuck into the subconscious mind and you have to bring it to surface. So basically he's saying if you do the yoga, 8 limbs of yoga, you will eliminate suffering. The Prakriti will be separated from Purusha and you'll recognize your inner self. And if you follow Vedanta philosophy, you feel united with Brahman. And what are the qualities of being united with Brahman? You will feel truth, consciousness, and bliss. Sat Chit Ananda. Sat Chit Ananda. Experience of truth as it is, consciousness, pure consciousness, clarified consciousness, and Anand in pure joy. So religion for Patanjali is not about moping and groping and complaining. Religion is about joy and happiness, but that happiness will only come when you separate your Purusha from the Prakriti. I can go on and on because I'm a professor. Dr. Chanda, I can see you on the screen. You know how professors like to talk. They can go for an hour and ever. But I will stop here, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. So we'll take up your question now.